Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of The Grapevine. Today our topic is raising kids in the Coptic culture. I'm Sarah.
Nardine.
Tina.
And today we have a special guest with us today. Please help us in welcoming Tantala Hannah. Welcome to our show, Tant.
Thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome. So we're going to have some questions for her on how, once again, to raise kids in the Coptic culture. We hope that you guys find this episode useful. All right, ladies. So everybody on this panel are moms, and we have one planning to be a mom. And so I think we may all be able to relate to some of the answers that Tant may give us today, and hopefully it'll help us when our kids get older, when we have kids, or we could probably relate to this of when we were kids, if we had the same thing happen with us. So again, welcome on the show, Tant.
Thank you.
Would you like to tell us a little about yourself?
I am married and I'm a mom of, I have 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. John is the oldest, he's 30, and then I have a girl that is 29, and my little one is 26. And I'm really happy to be here with you and share some views about raising kids. We're all learning.
Thank you, Tant. Thank you. So we gathered some questions to ask Tantala today from our panel, and we asked some friends as well who aren't on this show today. All right, first question, Tant. What would you say are the advantages and disadvantages of raising Coptic Orthodox children outside of Egypt, no matter what country that we're in?
Well, the advantages of raising the kids outside of Egypt, like in the U.S. or in Europe, it tells you a lot about our church because really not too many people know. Our church is a hidden treasure that not too many people know about it. I remember when I first moved here at the beginning, I met a priest. He was very knowledgeable, and when I introduced myself and I said I'm from the Coptic, I'm a Coptic Orthodox Christian from Egypt, and I said, of course you're familiar with this, and he said, oh, never heard about that. So really, not too many people know about our faith. So it's a good opportunity to evangelize about our faith, like in schools, at work, everywhere.
Right. Do you guys have any advantages that you think you saw if you were not being in Egypt right now and what you've learned and exposing the culture to others? Did y'all have any?
We have the freedom of saying we are Christians.
Yeah,
this
very
is
nice.
Yeah, like I'm sure we all know to say it, especially in Egypt. It's so hard to say I'm Christian,
or even to wear a
cross
necklace.
Cross,
Yeah,
that's right.
That's so true. And it's so hard to raise kids in school, and they have to say we're Christians, or it's easy for them to say it out loud. I don't want to say discrimination, but
it's easier to express it here.
Yes. Besides discrimination, it's also like I feel, especially because I was in a school, it was a Christian school, but yet again, more than half of the people there were not Christians. And the habits that we were learning, I felt like it has nothing to do with our church or with what we're doing. So that's also another advantage of raising them here, because school is just school. It's just education. And then, like at home or at church, you raise them the way that you want to raise them. You know, like nobody's implying their way on your kids. So that's an advantage for me.
I'll also speak from, as y'all probably know from previous episodes, I always speak from personal experience and give my personal opinion. My family and I were raised in a small Texas town where the closest Coptic church was an hour away. And now being in my adulthood, and I look back at those years, I do see, to add to the question we had to Tunt, one of the advantages of being away from the Coptic culture every single day is it does cause you to grow and making friends outside of the church. And yes, it did help our small community in Texas now understand what is Coptic Orthodox instead of another unknown religion. Not sure, I'm sure everybody that's watching this is aware of what happened Palm Sunday 2017. Yeah. And that also brought a lot of attention to we had neighbors coming up to us who said, "Oh, I remember you mentioned your Coptic Orthodox. I just want to say our condolences to what happened." That has never happened to me personally until Palm Sunday. Yes, we had, unfortunately, the bombing in December, and many other situations happened that we as Coptic Orthodox know of the persecution. You know, like you said, we can't wear certain things. But now it's very nice that it has been exposed to the Americans through the U.S. media to be, unfortunately it's negative, but it lets us know. So I believe that that's one, I agree that that's one advantage of, as well, of being raised outside.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, one of the disadvantages is that Christianity now is looked at negatively. You know, it's easily criticized also here. So children complain sometimes in schools and stuff like that. So yes, it's not like before though, but our role here is to evangelize more and to spread the word of God as much as we can.
How were you? How were you able to raise your kids in an American society while staying in touch with the Coptic society?
Well, one of the very important things that we learned in our church is to teach our children to love the church, to love the Coptic faith, to love Abuna, to love coming for communion. And the most important thing is to set an example. Children, especially at the very early stages, they like to copy us. They like to, copy mom and dad and imitate a lot of things. And this is our chance, really, to do anything we want our kids to learn. So when a kid comes into the room and he sees his mom, for example, standing next to the bed and praying the Agbeya, you're teaching him Agbeya. You're really teaching him Agbeya without saying a word. I remember when my children were little, they used to like come and stand next to me, and they would like sit on the floor and pretend that they're praying as well, and then they get bored after a while, and then they get up and play and so on. But I mean, this is teaching without even saying a word. You can, for example, if there's a crisis in the family, or someone is sick, or grandma is not feeling well, and you gather the children, you say, okay, let's go light a candle for grandma, for example, in front of a picture of St. Anthony or St. Mary. This is intercession. You're teaching your kid intercession without even saying a word. Same thing with everything, actually, in our Coptic church, in the Coptic, regarding communion, confession, and you can teach what you want through being a good example.
But nowadays, as you see, kids are a little hyper when we go to church. And to control church while attending liturgy or vesper or any other occasion.
Feast.
Yeah, or feast. It's so hard. Such a hard...
It is hard because kids cannot stay for a long time in the church. I mean, you have to keep them busy. You have to, we have to like take them out once in a while. It can get really boring for them at some time because their attention span is really short. So even though if they sit and if they're quiet for a while, they will not sit for like 3-4 hours in the church. So I think if we like take them out in between for like 5-10 minutes in the playground or in the social area and bring them back in, and I think maybe the mom and dad can synchronize that. Like the mom can take them for like 10 minutes, and then the dad can take them for another 10 minutes, and so on. And this way, the kid will learn that while he's in the church, he has to enjoy the church and at the same time respect the church. So while he's in the church, then he's quiet. If he goes out, he can play and have fun and everything. Once he goes into the church, for those 10-15 minutes, we try and as much as we can. Of course, this is very hard with kids.
Like,
and it's different from one kid to the other.
Of course.
Yes.
But I feel like kids influence each other. Like, if one parent is, or like one couple is committed to keep taking their kid inside, the friends of that kid would want to go inside too. So that's another thing, teaching, hey, if you want to go inside, you're gonna have to be quiet.
Right.
If you want to do some noise, we're still gonna have to sit here. At least that's what I see right now. Parents are doing, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good idea. And then the older they get, the shorter the break time will be, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, and then gradually they will like the church because they're used to coming to the church.
I have a question. So compare like now from 20 years when the kids were younger. Do you feel it was harder, easier?
Especially with like the distractions.
Yeah, with the social media, Facebook.
Get phones at 11 years old instead of when we were
Right.
probably 19
No, but
and doing.
truly, were they that active? Like, you see a lot of kids in church, how they act.
Were your kids the same at the age of
Yeah,
the kids
were
we're
they
talking
acting the
about?
same?
Well, I cannot say that they were different. I mean, kids are different in general,
Right.
but I can say that kids were more quieter like 20 years ago than now. But I would say that there are more challenges now. And with every stage, there are different challenges. But with the technology that we have and access to technology that we have these days, the parents are facing different challenges, you know. So kids are more entertained on their cell phone, for example, like when they have everything on the cell phone. So they really don't want to interact with brothers or sisters or friends even. And I remember when we were in Sunday school once and we were discussing friends, and we found out that one of the closest friends to us is the cell phone, because there's so many features in this phone that they cannot find it in a friend. Mm-hmm. And the easy access to that thing makes it also easy to do anything in the world, you know, these kids.
It's easier to even express yourself.
Exactly. So the children got used to having everything like really fast. You know,
Instant gratification.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they write a text and send, and instantly it reaches the other person. An email that goes quickly. They can take a picture and see it right away. So they got used to having like things too fast for them. So they really don't want to wait. They don't want to wait for the mom to prepare something at home. They don't want to wait for his brother or sister, doesn't want to help the brother or sister because that's too much work on them. This is how I feel, the different challenges. But regarding the kids, whether they are hyperactive now or they were not as active before, I don't think this is the case. I think it all is because of more easy access to technology and stuff. It's making them like less patient.
I feel like it's also because right now kids at I think 10 or 11, they're demanding cell phones from their parents and iPads. I mean, I had my iPhone when my first phone, it wasn't even an iPhone. My first phone when I was 18, and it's just because I was going to college, and it was like my parents just wanted to make sure I was safe. So compared to now, the kids like that for their birthday, they're like, oh, I want a cell phone, and I'm like, what? Really?
What happened to the days where we wanted to bicycle?
I know, like Barbies
or
and
a
fake makeup.
playground? Yeah.
It was like I was shocked, but then I was like, well, I mean, right now on, let's say, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, I see those kids that were like, literally, like it felt like yesterday they were 4 or 5 years old. Now they're like more advanced than I am, and like I don't know. I just feel like they're developing really quickly. So
I think it's the
we're
parents
jumping.
too. I want to give up. I don't want to have any headache free. So you want a cell phone? Go ahead and take a cell phone.
Oh, to keep you quiet.
Yeah.
And leave me alone.
Yeah, leave me alone.
Sure.
Headache free.
Sure.
I'm too busy talking to my friend. I want to go out, enjoy my time. I don't know. I'm
But
working
then it backfires.
full time. Yes, of course.
Because as in Sunday school, I'm helping with a group that is 11, 12 years old, the same age you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And now it gets to the point where before class starts, we have to put a basket and make sure one of their phones is in the basket. That's how bad it's gotten, to where we can't even just say, okay, put your phone in your pocket, put your phone away. because of the distractions, because of the instant gratification.
I remember something I just posted on Facebook. Did you hear about the fidget spinner?
Something of the three, the
Yes.
thing that, what
No,
is
it's-
that?
It's like a three, it's literally a plastic thing. I wish I had it from my
Okay.
son. I couldn't.
Yeah.
It's all over school now that you spin it all the time when you're sitting down. You hold it from the middle and you keep spinning
Oh,
it.
is it the three angle?
Yeah, it's like a
thing?
wheel thing.
Okay.
And you just spin it, and they say it helps for autism kids and all of that. But they said the very good thing about this spinner, it takes away the kids from technology.
Interesting. So it's not
This
a
is-
distraction to the teacher of the kid doing
It
this?
is a big
But it's
distraction, and they have rules, and they have a lot of stuff.
But you're
going
saying
on.
it helps with like autism, ADHD, or
Yes,
stuff like
they said
that?
this can help people with autism, like kids, but it's also a good thing for kids that's always attached to technology, phones, iPads, all of the eyes family. So I said that's awesome. I am against it because we don't have to buy it because everybody is buying it, but I will go ahead and buy it for you because it will take you away from
But
that.
it also makes you think like her kids are around our age, and when we grew up, we didn't have a cell phone till you said 18. Same with
And we
me
didn't have
for
computer, we
And
didn't
how did
have-
we keep our sanity though? Like, why has it been so
I
difficult
think
now?
because we used to have those games, Monopoly,
Or
my
play-
days,
Game Boy,
board games and
board
board
We used to
games.
go
Never
outside
mind.
and play.
Yeah, outside with our friends.
we have
to the
scars
Navy and all
from
of that
falling.
stuff.
I have
Yeah.
scars from falling on my bike. Yeah.
I didn't.
And,
ride a
and
bike.
if you don't have anything,
Big
It has to be
outdoors,
3 wheels.
you know.
and if you don't have anything to play with, you play mom and dad together.
Yes.
You know, so you communicate
You play
more
house.
with siblings. Yes.
The kids today aren't going to get a childhood
And
like
you
this.
get the bed sheets and put
Yes.
it with the chair
And make
like
a
your
tent.
own home.
Yeah.
Like I kept because I was looking at old pictures and I'm like, okay, will I ever see my kids do that? Because it was
No.
really fun. That's why I'm gonna.
Do you
put
see
the
our
phones
wish
aside right
list?
now.
What do we put for them?
Yeah, it's all technology stuff.
They're not gonna create their own games or do
Yeah.
anything fun.
Right.
Like that car. Do y'all know the car that was the yellow roof with the little tyke car? Do any of y'all know the one that literally
Yes.
hung?
Yeah.
That reminds me of my childhood. Today, the
Yes.
kids are probably
They don't
like,
play.
No, they have the one where they actually turn on the engine and press the gas.
cute.
And they keep going.
but at least they're not on a cell phone or
That's
something.
because they're 4 years old. They didn't reach that age yet.
Dang, man, close,
Yeah.
close.
I remember road trips were so much fun when the children were little.
Oh, yeah?
It was a lot of fun because they're joking and fighting and laughing and
talking
being
with
silly
you, right?
and talking with each other.
And even with the
so
parents.
there's a lot of
A lot
interaction.
of questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the DVD, I decided to take out the DVD.
Exactly. Like take the
In the
children
car?
on a trip.
Yes, I took it out.
It's true. Now they take the kids on a trip or in the Sunday school children take them on the bus. Everyone is having his phone, too busy with his
Yes,
phone, and no one
true.
is talking to each other. And so
we
it's
played the
different.
alphabet game. Do you guys remember
yes,
that?
Yes. And the movies and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
The alphabet game is when you just drive and try to find a sign with the letter A, then the next person in the car, and it made the trip. We were on road trips a lot too as kids, and
Right.
that was one of the things that kept us
so
sane.
much fun and makes you think all the time.
I know.
You use your mind.
Instead of Google.
Yeah. Google is my best
Google
friend
everything
now.
now. Well, yeah, all of us.
Yeah, but technology, of course, can be very, very useful. I mean, we're talking about if we do not use it wisely, but it's very useful.
We're talking about the
Look
excessive.
How
that-
far how far we came in
Yeah.
technology and with the church and with evangelizing and with everything. So we really have gone a long way with technology.
That actually, Tant, is a good segue to the next question. So how do you keep your kids engaged in school the older they get, the more independent they get with being involved? I know earlier the question one of us had asked, you mentioned just show an example, that actions speak louder than words, like with the Egbeya. What about when they're older? Their circle of friends changes, their surroundings change.
Sometimes they move out for school and college.
Yes, and with that too. So how do you keep them close when they start growing up? to the
well,
church?
As we said from the beginning, is that we have to start this from the beginning. You know, like at the early age, at the early stages, we have to get them to love the church and love the faith, and it becomes, of course, as we said, easier as they grow. But then, when they reach the teenage, this is a very tough age to deal with. Because the children do have a lot of homework actually in school. We cannot deny that. But at the same time, we want them to be still attached to the church. So we want to make the church fun for them in order to pull them to the church. So we can make like liturgy day a fun day. Like after liturgy, we can go eat out or take them to a movie or to a game, encourage them to go. Help the kids get prepared from the night before, because they waste so much time in the morning looking for what to wear and what matches and what doesn't match and all that stuff. So if we make things easier on them from the night before, like help them choose what they want to wear the next day, the church day. If you have a girl, for example, we can see how are you going to do your hair tomorrow? Do you want it up? You want it in a bun? I can help you blow dry it. I mean, the easiest. We have to try and make this day an easy day for them, as much as we can. And it's different from one child to the other. And us as parents, we know what our kids like. And so we could like go in from that weak point as much as we can.
So making these habits actually become bonding. The bonding time becomes good habits that hopefully they keep as they get older.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
But in a certain time, for example, my son now, he's 8. He start getting bored of being a deacon. I don't want to be a deacon tomorrow.
Oh.
And we start to have that argument over.
So he doesn't want to go early and be a deacon.
He doesn't want to be deacon. What do you do? What do you used to do for that? I know you went through it, so I'm sure you had that kind of.
I'm somebody as well. They were telling me to ask them the same question.
Really?
Like he's at that age 11, 8, 9, 10, 11,
Yeah,
where now church is like, I don't want to go anymore.
I don't want to go.
But you're 8 and 9. How do you decide that?
Yeah.
I'm bored. I don't want. He knows the hymns and he doesn't want to sing it.
Yeah.
So can you like reason with him, like ask him, what is it exactly about being a deacon that you don't like? Is it being a deacon or going early in the morning because maybe he doesn't want to go, doesn't want to be committed to going very early to the church. He wants to go late. So maybe that's a reason. But I think even if they go through these stages, because the kids were brought up in the church, they may feel bored at some time and they may feel unhappy. They don't have the right friends that encourage them to go to the church. We still have to encourage them as much as we can. But believe me, one day he's going to go back. I mean, that's not the end of it. It's just a phase that they go through. And so if he goes once and he doesn't go 3-4 times, then at least he's going once. At least he's not going at all, you know. And but it's definitely a phase that they go through, and then one day he's going to come back. He's going to like it and come back, but not stop completely going, you know. Like instead of going like every week, he could go like once a month, for example, or so. I mean, it depends from one family to the other, but not stop going completely.
Because then they'll just pull away and
we'll start from scratch.
Yeah, it happens to us adults.
Everybody has phases in anything.
Yeah, we do go through phases sometimes. Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes it's the people. I know we all say, we all preach, you shouldn't go for the people. You go for the church. You don't. But we're also, it's human nature. So sometimes people in the own church or priests or whoever have influence. Like, I'm going to change churches, or I'm going to. So different phases, different reasons. I mean, 8 is. Not because he doesn't like the priest, it's just because he's probably bored, like you said.
Right. Yeah.
Hungry.
Oh my God, my voice.
Okay.
Speaking of people, would you recommend like your kids to have more of the Coptic Egyptian friends from our community, or like both, or more of the Americanized? What did you recommend for your own kids, for example?
Well, our children are growing up in a Coptic church, so they will make Coptic friends no matter what.
Yes.
But we have to enforce the idea that it's not about the Coptic friends only, it's about friends in general.
Right.
We have to widen our circle of friends. We have to be very picky with friends. There are a lot of very good people out there. It's just we have to find them in schools, at work, universities, everywhere. I mean, there are so many good people, not just inside the Coptic Church. So I do really encourage the children to broaden their circle of friends and to make sure they surround themselves with kids that have good behavior, good habits, good study habits, good Christians as well. I remember when my children were little, we used to have kids over, their friends over, and so I can watch them. And this way you can watch the children and see their behavior, their language, which is very important these days. And so by observing that, you can help your children choose their friends. You can say, oh, you know what, I really didn't like what he said yesterday, what this boy said yesterday, for example. And so you can gradually direct your children towards the good people. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people out actually that are thirsty for the word of God. So this is a way of evangelizing also. I mean, if we only have our circle of friends inside the church, then how are we going to evangelize outside? A lot of people actually came to God through love and care from other people.
And I think we see or hear about it in some of the churches here in North America, that you see baptisms of adults a lot happening more than maybe 20 years ago. And they're learning about the church, whether they came with a Coptic friend once or by reading about it or by the media, but either way. So it's nice that it's... I agree with you, Tant. I have a lot of friends who are non-Coptic. I've known them for years, and I like the mix of having my Coptic circle and my non-Coptic, because when events, especially like I mentioned earlier on the show, the Palm Sunday, even though it was negative, it brought light to my church. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell them, you guys are hearing about this now, but this is something that's been going on in our church since before we were born. But they just didn't know the persecution that we're dealing with as Christians in Egypt.
For me, for example, living in Saudi Arabia for a while, I had a lot of people that are non-Christians that would call me on the phone and say, pray for me for something, somebody's sick or for anything. So we do need to make, and these were very good friends. I made a lot of friends out there, and I'm very happy I made these friends. And this is all outside the Coptic Church. So it's good to broaden the circle.
Thank you, Tant. I know we touched base on the distractions of a child and now distractions of 8, 9, 11-year-olds. So now the next level. One question that was brought to my attention that they wanted us to ask you is at conventions. So one of the ladies told me she's a chaperone, and at high school conventions there's a high attendance in comparison to the college convention. Say, for example, high school convention, she'll have 300 people registered, and now college conventions have 100. So is the drop could be the lack of interest in church or the group of people going. How do you encourage your college-age kids to stay close to the church, especially a lot of people have to move due to their getting their further education, and the college isn't down the street anymore?
Right. I think it's very important that we tie the kids to the church. We have them tied with any kind of service. Not the kid, I mean the college student. Or they have to be committed to any kind of service. You name it. I mean, it could be Sunday school, it could be planning trips for the church, it can be cleaning the church, helping with technical support, anything. There's so many things, helping in the kitchen. And as we said also before, that if he was brought up in the church, then it will be a phase that they go through. But then once they stay connected, that means they will not drift away. Once they stay connected with any kind of service, they won't think of just leaving the church. Another thing also, especially because now they move out of town, away from home, talking to the priest of the church, the closest church to him, and have him keep an eye on him. Have one of the servants also call him once in a while and check on him. Help him if he needs any help with his new life, moving, anything. So being tied or connected to the church is very important.
Thank you, Tunt, for answering all those questions that we've had so far. I think we've come down to one of our final questions, unless we have any others we can think of. So this may help us as moms, as young women, and you said you have a daughter as well, so the connection. What advice do you give to establish that connection where you feel like your daughter or your sons can come up and talk to you about anything instead of going to a friend and who knows what advice that friend is going to give?
It's true.
Where mom is going to give it and dad are going to give it from out of love.
You know, we all love our kids, but we don't know sometimes how to express this love. And I think it's really important that we show them how much we love them. We express this love as much as we can. They need it and we need it. We need this, and then with the teenagers, like when we talked about teenagers, for example, which is a difficult age, we have to be very patient with these kids. We need to listen to them fully. I mean, listen to them very well, and not to be quick to get angry about a lot of things, but just be patient, see what they want to tell you, judge at the end, reason with the kid. These children are going through so much. I mean, physical, psychological, hormonal changes, so many changes. So we really don't want to add more stress to the stress they're going through. So as much as we can to absorb their anger, it is a lot of work for us. It's not easy. It is a lot of work for the parents. But at the end, we have to remember that we have to gain these kids. And if we do not pull them towards us, there's so many forces out there that can pull them away. So we have to make the effort as much as we can to just pull them to our side by any means.
Thank you. I just thought of a question, and if you can answer it, great. If not, I'd be glad to give my opinion. Maybe we can all give on our experience. What about the parent that there's a fine line where it feels like they're overbearing, like really into the child's business when they're an adult, like asking like every detail about what are you doing, how did you do, whatever, but they're old enough to where they can make their own decisions. Do y'all know the type of parenting I'm talking about? Whether we do it or we've had it done to us. Like, how does the kid know this is really love, or mom just really wants to know everything that's happening just to know everything that's happening? Tina, it looks like you have something. So what do you think about my question?
I think about that kind of personality or that kind of person you're talking about. As soon as they get a mom or a dad, they become a mom or a dad, they will know the feeling of a parent.
Okay.
Trust me.
So I should wait.
Yes. I don't know if it was you or someone else.
Yeah.
Plus distance.
Okay.
When we don't live together, we don't live close to each other. So I want to know more and more about you. I want to be involved in your life. Okay. I don't want to feel like someone came and took you and left away.
So maybe I should ask this
like
down the road.
Yeah.
Say, so now that this happened,
seriously, it feels,
I know what you mean.
I used to be totally against my parents when I first got married because I was very, very young.
Okay.
I was 21.
Okay.
And nowadays I appreciate everything they do because I know how it feels.
Because you're a parent now. I mean, you've been a parent.
Yes,
okay.
Right. I don't know. Tante, I'm sure she has more experience and she will add more.
Yeah, no, I think it's good that you speak with your mom and you tell her a lot that's going on with your life to a certain extent. And if we're talking about like after you get married, right? Is that what you meant?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Yeah.
Sure,
I mean, I mean, to a certain extent, it's nice to just tell her a few things. It's not advisable that the mom would have to know every single detail in your life. She needs to always have like the door opened for you to say whatever you feel like saying. But I don't want to pressure my son or my daughter to just tell me what happens every single day. But I want to be there for them. I want to make sure I'm there for them. If she's unhappy one day, or she's sad, or she wants to cry, then I'm there.
And just to be clear, this is not, my mom and I are pretty tight, so it wasn't an example. I've just seen it happen with others, so I'm kind of asking this on their behalf.
True.
Yes.
Some of the parents, they put themselves in their lives and
Yes.
their kids like too much. This is
That's
I
right.
can
There's
give an advice
boundaries.
of what happened with me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my mother and I have such a close relationship to the point that because she doesn't over ask, I end up over telling her.
Right.
And so it's kind of a win-win for her. But then I had used the, I gained her trust over the years, of course, from
Right.
adolescent to younger to now married. So just my advice to moms out there, we know you love the kids. And I know I'm not a mom yet, so this opinion may change down the road. But it feels like the concept less is more does apply in a way with the less you ask the kids, the more they end up telling you if you develop that trust in those critical
That's true.
stage or age or whatnot. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for all these answers. It really helped and opened the perspective. We were very glad you could join us today, Tant. Hopefully we can see you again for another episode, and thank you guys as well. Thank you guys.
Thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome, Tant. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.